Hello, this is Steve Curtis and Christopher Walker here at Tech Data. We're excited about doing a security awareness webinar for you all. Just some housekeeping items. The sound will stream through your computer speakers. We'll have a Q&A that you can enter at any time, but we'll be answering the Q&A at the end. And we'll also be able to follow up tomorrow with an actual link to this webinar as well. And so today we're going to be talking about security awareness. Both Christopher Walker and I work as strategic enterprise consultants at Tech Data, and we're excited about doing that. We've had a number of years in security. And Christopher Walker, also known as Walker the Texas Ranger, is we do this together, and we just have a good time doing it because we're protecting others. And security awareness has changed so much. I'm so glad you're able to be on this webinar. Some of the things we're going to be going over in our agenda is, first of all, I said it's changed. The road has changed security awareness. We'll be talking about that. Phishing's been around for 25 years, but hackers have continually developed new ways to attack. A security awareness market by Gartner, it's called SACBT. It's hard to pronounce it one word, but it's called Security Awareness Computer-Based Training. What does the market look like? What are your customers looking at when they do searches so that you can offer a security awareness program that meets their expectations? And then how to sell security awareness as an MSP or VAR. Walker's going to be going over that for us. And then how can technology make a difference? You know, security awareness is about creating a human firewall, but technology can help. And Walker's going to talk about that. And then we're also going to look at tech data vendors and security awareness. There's a number of them, and we'd be glad to help you as Tech Data. Our whole job, we are vendor neutral in the security area, and we want to help you get started in any vendor you want to use or start with. And then how to engage with us, as I mentioned, and then we'll also be looking at resources. You can do your own research on security awareness. But first, what I'd like to do is have a poll. And we're going to ask these questions, should be on your screen. How are the majority of your clients engaged in security awareness activities? That's the majority of them. Are the majority of them really not doing anything? It's hard to believe, but you never know. Have they done a bit, but it's ad hoc? It's limited. It's a year activity. Reasons many folks do it that way. Or do they have a program in place to make sure all their staff are educated and measured? We'll have that in there, but that's part of it. Just go ahead and make some selections. Please go ahead, and we'll just kind of wait for you to go ahead and just take a guess or whatever you think it might be. Go ahead and submit that because it's really interesting because, you know, many folks think, well, an ad hoc is okay, or once a year, that should work. We'll find out about that. Or a program in place. Many folks do have a program in place. So a few more of you just need to answer. Go ahead, and we'll go ahead and let everyone else know. Well, that'd be interesting. What are other folks doing? So I'll go ahead and, if it's okay with Walker, we'll go ahead and look at the answer. Okay with you, Walker? Okay, we'll go ahead and look at the answers. Okay, look at this. Nothing specific. Everybody's doing something. Oh, that's good. Then we have 66% saying they've done a bit, but it's ad hoc. Okay, that's a tremendous opportunity for you. Once a year, 25% once a year. So they have checked the box, and then only 8% if they got a program in place. So that's really good to know because I think Walker. I think that you and I probably agree that's probably where most folks are. You know, limited, once a year, et cetera. Look at the opportunity. If only 8% have a program in place, there's a tremendous opportunity to address these other two. We're going to show you how to do that and what you need to know in order to take advantage of these answers. It's really interesting. Thanks again for doing that.
It's also interesting. There's a large number that have done it just for compliance reasons.
Yes, just compliance reason. And one of the reasons we're here is this is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And I kept thinking, well, what's awareness about? What does that really mean? And a person here looking at the screen, they're aware of, well, I can't read their mind, what they're aware of. But I know that awareness, when I thought of awareness, I think of the best thing I could think of in security. We use something called continuous risk-based authentication. It's got too many syllables for me, but I like that concept because if you think of yourself driving a car, you drive with your eyes closed. Just think about it. No, I don't drive with my eyes closed. Why? Because you always want to be continually evaluating risk. And that's what security awareness is, continually evaluating risk. That's also a good definition of zero trust. So when you're driving a car and there's a semi behind you, you're evaluating how close that truck is to you. And that's what awareness is, always evaluating what's going on. For example, you don't drive 200 miles an hour through your neighborhood. But if you're in Daytona 500 driver, you would, because you're not going to run into anybody except the car in front of you you're trying to beat. But generally, continuous risk-based authentication is what we're trying to create with security awareness. And I just think of that definition, and that can help you a lot with security. And the real road to security awareness is, as I said, phishing's been around for 25 years, but according to Verizon data breach report, most data breaches are coming in, 85% of them are through some type of human social engineering, and that's why we're talking about security awareness. And really only 3% are coming in through some technology that they're spoofing. But it's so easy for a bad actor to get in. If you have the key to the door, why do you need to bring a battering ram, right? So that's why security awareness is so crucial. But also, it's the door for you to land and expand. Once you get in with a good security awareness program, you can go a lot of places, and that's what we're here to talk about. So definitely attacks are increasing. One of the reasons they're increasing so much is folks are, of course, working from home. They're working from the cloud, a lot of cloud applications, so it makes it easier to spoof, because every time you log in, you see a Microsoft logo. Bad actors can easily reproduce that. And there's also, they're flying drones, they're using so many different ways to get in. According to Sophos, this is from a Sophos report, is interesting about the programs. I forgot what the percentage was, but not many are using programs. But here, according to Sophos, over 90% of companies are doing some kind of security awareness program. So you don't have to sell them on the importance of it. What's key is selling them on how effective their security awareness program is today and why it's important. If 85% of breaches are coming in through a click, and of course, a click is just telling the computer, yes, the door's open, go ahead. Then you want to protect your employees through some means, and that's where security awareness is. And one of the most effective questions that I've seen is, what is an acceptable failure rate? Failure rate is, think of yourself as a company owner. What is an acceptable number of employees that it's okay to click on a phishing email or something where somebody's trying to extract information, your credentials from you? How many employees is it okay to click per month? Say 100 employees. Most company owners would say, I don't want anybody clicking on a bad email or a phishing email. But if they're don't have a security awareness program, the average failure rate is 11%, somewhere between 11 and 20%. So right now, for those folks that don't have a program, somewhere between 11 and 20% of employees are clicking, and they will be compromised. There's a lot of different definitions of phishing. One of the most, you can look those up. I'd be glad to tell you a lot of what these mean. Smishing is on your smartphone. Swatting is, if you didn't know, that when you take pictures, your location information, if it's not turned off, is attached to your picture, so bad actors can do things with that. But one of the most hardest ones to detect is called business email compromise. That's where a bad actor goes low and slow. They may be part of some supply chain where, for example, a payroll person sees an email that comes from the company that they pay, and they say, oh, that looks good. Thank you so much for paying that. And the next month they see the same thing, but they don't realize the last 2 months it wasn't coming from that company that they pay. It was coming from a bad actor. So in the third month, when that company asks for a payment, they may get it. So that's called business email compromise. As far as the once a year, MasterCard has said, this is the vice president of security engineering. If you're doing something that's annual or ad hoc, it's actually worse because folks think they're protected because they've taken the annual training. Then speaking of evaluating your customers, we have a security maturity assessment that we offer from Tech Data. It's complimentary. It's a conversation that we have with you and your end user. You could even take this document, which is about 30 questions about security maturity. What's interesting about it, it's a complimentary assessment we do with your customer. You could do it with them. We enter it into a tool, and it spits out a grade, a security maturity assessment, A, B, C, or D, with action plans. So we'd love to talk with you about that tool if you want to use it. Folks need to understand what's going on in security and why they're not protected. The next area I was going to talk about was what is a successful security awareness computer-based training environment look like? One of the key areas, of course, is it's got to be completely, with the entire company has to be aware of what's happening. They have to have executive commitment to it. As it has to be, managers have to be connected in that they need to be talking to their employees about security, and nothing brings that together more than a clearly defined objective that a security awareness training program would have. And of course, it needs to be measurable so that when you look at your annual or your average phishing failure rate, you can see, well, maybe it started at 10%, but now it's getting down to 5%, maybe it's 2%, but you've got to measure it. And of course, it needs to be employee-centric. It's got to be something that's not boring. It has to be something that rewards employees, doesn't scare them. It needs to use localized content and human resources. There's some considerations, especially in Europe, for testing employees, but you don't have to be worried about the US. Then as far as what successful vendors look like or what folks are looking for, they're looking for in-the-moment platform that provides something. If I do click on something, that in the moment, the platform should say, hey, you clicked on that. Here's how you should have recognized this. Don't do that again. Or would you mind taking this training that affects that? So that's really key. Then also, as I mentioned, it's some good simulations. And some of the better companies actually use simulations from what they call caught in the wild data, meaning they're actually looking at what kind of threats or phishing simulations or real phishing exploits, what do they really look like? And some of them are actually creating those simulations the next month. So your employees are staying up with what the hackers are doing. And of course, key to that is measuring, doing some kind of analytics. And some of the key vendors have their own ways to score human risk approaches. They have ways to score according to attitude, their role, behaviors. If you have payroll or the C levels, you need to make sure they've got special training or be aware of that they could be targeted. And some of the better programs also have ways to import users from different organizations, different groups, and segment organizations. Then some of the key aspects of these is these security awareness programs are integrated into other things that are being used for security, such as Active Directory or even email packages or even data loss prevention. So as I mentioned, the security access awareness market can start with a simple $1 a month per user for some type of security awareness, but then it can add email, then you can add email archiving. So there's a lot of things that can be added to it, and it just needs to start with, yes, I want to protect my employees for clicking on the wrong email. Then as a managed program, small businesses often say, well, I don't have enough folks to manage it. Well, many vendors offering a set and forget it. So you set it up for the year, and it creates those phishing simulations automatically. Then also the mid-sized companies, if you have a large company, you may need to get a dedicated administrator, but it also could be an advantage for you to actually charge your end user for your ability and your time to be able to maintain the program. A positive thing about that is it gets you meeting with them on a monthly basis, and who wouldn't want that as you learn more about their business. So that's kind of often some of these are managed programs. In fact, some of the vendors can train you on how to manage their program and certify you. Then in my section is what we're really doing is we're creating a human firewall. And we're all looking at how's the data being accessed, how are users intersecting or interacting with company resources, and what's a threat profile for different folks of the company. And this area all gets you deeper into the company and allows you to add more than just security awareness, but other products as well. Now Walker's going to talk about technology and how that makes a difference.
Thanks, Steve. Great overview of security awareness. And what I want to do is talk a little bit about how to sell security awareness. There are a lot of changes in the marketplace today. One of the changes that I see that a lot of companies are investing in is the gamification of security awareness. And there's a lot of smaller players that are entering the market and providing options in a game form to provide awareness in the company. Now, whenever you start to talk about selling some sort of cybersecurity service or security awareness, we have all seen that there's always a slide at the beginning that talks about how scary the whole situation is. There's a lot of slides, and I like putting this up instead of putting a bunch of different statistics. It's just when you get into cybersecurity as a business owner, you can see cyber risks everywhere. And this is from a popular movie many years ago. But there are cyber risks in every aspect of life, in business, and even simple things like leaving a thumb drive in a parking lot has been used. There have been fake phone calls made to individuals. There's just every way conceivable to earn a little bit of money from the businesses or even individuals through cyber attacks. So I want to talk a little bit about how to sell security awareness. There are a number of ways to get in the door with new prospects. First of all, be mindful that 98% of companies already have some sort of security awareness program. So the approach should be how to make your program a little bit different, finding out what they have today and then trying to determine where they're at. So one of the questions you can ask is, what is an acceptable failure rate for employee clicks? Steve mentioned what that failure rate means. And in the security awareness world, failure rate is thrown out a lot, especially because phishing is the primary target for security awareness programs. There are many, many other aspects, but phishing is still number one in starting a breach for companies. So as we all know, one click might be enough to get a bad actor into an organization. So talking about a failure rate that's anything higher than zero, there's certainly an opportunity for improvement. Also, ensuring that security awareness is a key. The quote that Steve mentioned about the vice president at MasterCard is absolutely correct. Security awareness needs to be persistent and constant theme through any organization, needs to be a part of most meetings to continually remind the employees about the importance of the awareness and staying vigilant in their work lives. Technology can't cover everything. The human firewall is absolutely a real thing, and determining how to better improve the human firewall is paramount. However, there is a lot of technology that can help, and the mentality that is, I guess, permeating throughout the cybersecurity industry of zero trust is helping from a technology standpoint to have ways to ensure the security of an organization, even if there is an existing breach or if there's infiltration or exfiltration going on. So the other thing that you may or may not know it's important that if there is a cybersecurity insurance policy, if you're finding out from your vendors or partners or from your customers that they have a cybersecurity insurance policy, most of them require some sort of security awareness training as a part of that policy. So going on, a few additional questions that you can ask to sell cybersecurity awareness with an MSP or as an MSP or VAR is discuss with the prospect what level of engagement their employees have. And they'll have a sense of this, just like the poll. They'll have a sense of what level they are at. You can ask about how they measure the performance. You can ask about the effectiveness of past programs, and then find out why past programs have not been effective. If they're talking to you, there's most likely room for improvement. I wanted to spotlight a partner. We are vendor agnostic, but wanted to talk a little bit about Proofpoint. One item that a lot of these companies provide, Proofpoint is one of them, is the good, better, best. We understand that companies are all over the map in terms of where they are in their security maturity. Clearly, Office 365 security isn't enough. There are things that should be done in addition to that from an email standpoint. Some of the things that Proofpoint does and other companies do is they're continually monitoring the landscape, and they create new templates every week to help imitate what these phishing attacks look like. Also, they have customer requests that can come in and say, you know what, for our particular company, we need a phishing campaign that looks like X. And they can create a customized phishing campaign that will be specific for your industry. Recently met with a company, and they're focused on just the dairy industry, for instance. They would need a specific type of campaign that would help them. Also, seasonal trends. As you know, Halloween is coming up. You see an uptick in spoofing attacks or phishing attacks that would capitalize on the time of year and what's going on. Also, you know, current event attacks. COVID, when COVID hit, there was a huge uptick in attacks that somehow referenced COVID. So the other thing that Proofpoint provides and a lot of companies provide is a just-in-time teaching. So if they do fall for an attack, the teaching can happen right at that moment when something is clicked on. So just an idea. There are a lot of other options. I mentioned the gamification. A lot of companies are choosing to go that route as well. Now, the other thought to talk about as we're selling various security awareness programs is, are you looking for a monthly service or an annual license? There are advantages for both. Obviously, understanding the trust that an end user has for the customer might lend to an annual license versus a try and buy scenario with a monthly service. Some of the pros and cons that come along with offering a managed security awareness program. Pros is that it's proven, measurable over a period of time, better oversight for your customers or of your customers, an option to outsource to a trusted third party. The cons could be the cost benefit as a partner, time management. Sometimes security awareness program might not be worth the time for you as a seller, and then limited customizations. Sometimes these larger companies are not able to customize where a customer might be looking for something specific. So those are a few of the pros and the cons. And again, we're going to send out this presentation so you can look at some of these items later. Now, we all have seen these. I just think it's very true. The same email could be sent or request could be sent to 3 different individuals, and the first 2 will say it's a scam. You know, enter your bank account, scam. But there's always one that will say, oh, okay, and put it in. And unwittingly, I think perhaps all of us have been there at some point, one time or another, maybe clicking on something that we shouldn't have, and knowing that we could have hopefully remedy whatever we did. And sometimes nothing happens, but certainly there's a huge risk out there. Now, talking a little bit about technology. So we've talked about the awareness, talked about the human firewall, the human component. Just want to do a quick overview of how technology can make a difference. First of all, as Steve mentioned, there's a number of different technologies that will complement the human firewall. We talked about phishing, talked a little bit about business email compromise, but there are ways to determine certain individuals that have behavior analytics. So you can learn the type of character of emails that specific end users receive. And if that tool can determine which emails are dangerous, a lot of times through behavior analytics, you can determine before an email even crosses the threshold which ones are malicious or not. Threat intelligence, there's a huge repository of information out there that can be used to help as companies share information. There are many companies, Verizon was quoted earlier, that compile a lot of data that can be used, and that intelligence will help others down the road where maybe some have failed in the past. And then lastly, just talk a little bit about browser isolation. So assuming that your end users will have an issue at one point or another, many companies use a browser isolation technology, which essentially sandboxes that email or even the browser that a customer or that your employee is using, so that if they do encounter something, click on something that they shouldn't, it stays within that virtual machine or in a sandbox. So that's a very good technology. A lot of companies are looking at these types of things, going with the assumption of zero trust. So this next slide shows a number of vendor solutions. Steve and I have had opportunity to talk about a lot of these companies with various companies and vendors and future MSPs that are looking to upgrade or sell various products. Each one of these companies have strengths and some things that they focus on and they do really well. And Steve and I can help you navigate that, let you know, hey, this company is better for X, this company is better for Y, and that's where we come in. Steve?
Yeah. Thank you, Walker. Yeah, they're all security-related companies, and they're all very good at what they do. If you see one that you use often or say, I'd like to check them out, just let us know. As Walker mentioned, threat intelligence makes a big difference. Many of these companies use their threat intel, as Walker said, to make phishing templates on a weekly basis. A lot of them use spying on the dark web to see what next phishing exploit's going to be used next. So some of them are really good. And as Walker said, a browser isolation, a lot of them have that, which makes it really easy. Actually corrects things when people start clicking. Some companies also have the ability, as of that cartoon, to mention if this email goes out to 50 employees, it'll just delete the email from everybody's inbox. So there's a lot of technology that works. But the key is it's still, technology is important, but it's still, technology could be avoided. That's why hackers are so successful. That's why awareness is so key as well. So I'll say, so if you have any questions at all, as far as resources for third-party resource, Gartner has come out with a magic quadrant for security awareness computer-based training. Just Google that and you'll find a vendor that can tell you about what they do. We also mentioned other vendors we have like Area 1 Security, Cisco, Proofpoint, and so forth. They're all excellent resources on security awareness. Then as far as engaging with tech data, as Walker said, we're here to help you. We're vendor neutral. Nothing would please us more to say, I'm looking for a security awareness vendor. I'm looking for one that's $1 a month per end user. Help me out. just let us know. We're made up of former MSP owners. We have, again, we mentioned that complimentary security maturity assessment, 45-minute conversation that produces a grade, A, B, C, or D. We also have the practice builder and the cyber range. So we're here to help in whatever area you want.
Yeah, so just a quick overview of the practice builder. So we have here at Tech Data, we have created a practice builder that will help. I think, here, let me go back real quick before we get here. So as you can see, we have a strategy course, an enablement course, a marketing course, services, sales, and MSP courses. These videos are specific and targeted to help MSPs and other companies create a digital security practice. And when you open them up, there are various specific things that have been proven in the marketplace that work, that will bring revenue in, that will bring credibility for your company, and will help you to move to the next level. Instead of focusing and customizing on each individual company, what we have done is encapsulated all of that knowledge into a bottle, so to speak. And you can drink from it. And then once you've had that opportunity to ingest this content, then we can come in and help with those customization questions that you have that might be specific for your industry. So this is, we're very proud of this. This content is not stale. There is new content being developed daily and new courses that are going up every few weeks. So, and also retiring some of the courses and some of the video. So it's a very powerful tool, and we would be very happy to talk to you more about it. Steve, Spy Tool.
Yes, thank you. And we also have another tool called a security product inventory tool. We call this Spy Tool, and it's actually publicly accessible. You can see the URL at the bottom of the screen, and this helps you choose vendors or security controls or per vendors on whatever research you need. For example, if you're looking for identity and access management, there's a security, that is a security control. You can look and see what vendors Tech Data has for that. Security awareness, the same thing. Essentially, it takes the guesswork out of who does what when regarding security. It's a very powerful tool, and as Walker said, we're constantly updating that as well.
And then next, as Steve mentioned earlier, we have a cyber range. And this environment, it's a physical location. We can also administer the services virtually. This cyber range happens to be in Tempe, Arizona, which I used to live there, so I'm very happy that it's close to me. We can provide an off-site location for your organization for training, for demonstration, engagement, and then also specific services. As you can see in those pictures, there is a data center that you can plug in, and if you wanted to see how a certain malware reacts in your organization, if you want to see how certain types of technology works in certain situations, this is a sandbox location that is safe to do those kinds of things that you probably wouldn't dare do in your own data center environment. It also has a lot of tools for training, and we have a whole host of individuals that work in and around the cyber range that can provide a lot of professional advice and expertise for you.
Good. Thank you very much, Walker. And right now we'll take some questions on any questions folks have on security awareness. Some questions have come in. Feel free to go into the Q&A section and ask any questions that you have. One question has come in and says, we often get small businesses usually don't have time for training, and they say, we're too small to be attacked. How do you answer a question like that? Well, if they're too small, you might ask, well, if they're too small to be attacked, do you have time to recover from being attacked? Or if you're too small to be attacked, are you so small that you don't need access to your data? And of course, they would never say that. So it's all about what your data is worth and folks are coming in. We also have a question of, there's a spy tool, the image looks different. Is it being redone? Yes, the spy tool is being redone. I don't know if we have the, I'm not really, as far as it's continually being redone, we're going to be adding information to the spy tool. But I don't believe that the image that was on there might have been just for this presentation, but I believe that has not yet, we don't have a new spy tool as yet, but it is coming out. It's a good question.
Yeah, very good question. I'll take the next one. It says, why not sandbox everything? So that's a great question. And I think the higher question, and it's permeating the industry, is the zero trust model. Now, with anything in cybersecurity, one of the axioms is anything that you do to protect yourself, for instance, encryption, can be used against you. So, for instance, if you encrypted everything, once a hacker gets inside the encryption, now it's that much more difficult to determine what's going on within those links. So I think there are some very good arguments to sandbox everything, but it does add a huge layer of complexity. And there's a business decision for each organization on, is it worth the benefit of sandboxing versus the cost and the hassle to ensure that all of the environments in your IT systems are sandboxed. So that's kind of an individual question, but I can certainly understand sandboxing everything and the desire to do that.
Great. Someone also asked, how do you get access to the tool? We've shown two tools. One is the security product inventory tool. That's a URL you can access. We also showing you a security services at techdata.com or a phone number there. You can ask them as well. As far as the practice builder, there's a link for that as well. I believe that's in our capabilities in one of our slides as well. There's a link to that, but you will need to have a Tech Data account number to get into that as well.
And then just real quick, and Emily, I appreciate your help on this. So for the spy tool, there is the new instance of it should be live early November, and that's the new tool. So thank you, Emily, for that specific time frame.
Yep. Someone asked the question, well, how do we get started in security awareness? Well, there's some MSP programs that offer $1 per user per month. As I mentioned earlier, we'd love to tell you more about that. Someone may also ask, how can a security awareness product help increase sales? Well, how do you get increased sales if it's just $1 a month? I'll just add that. Well, what's interesting is security awareness is just the beginning. Add-ons are really plentiful. With security awareness, you can add on or connect it to email security. Then you can also connect that to email archiving, then data loss protection, and then also cloud application security. So there's a lot of land and expand opportunities in security awareness.
And I would add, Steve, one really good way is to talk about key management as well. Ransomware is terrifying for small businesses, and they are the target. And a lot of these small businesses have old keys, encryption keys. They don't have a key management system in place. And having a discussion with them about a good key management system that they can put in place, that's a quick hit for a lot of these companies and something you can talk about.
Great. Well, we just appreciate the taking the time to look at security awareness. We definitely want to help you get started. Please call us at this 800 number extension, as well as security services at techdata.com. Just let us know you attended the training. You will get a copy of this webinar tomorrow in your inbox. And we thank you. If there's any, I'll ask hold for one. If there's has any more questions, we definitely want to make sure we get those. I don't see any that have come in, but it's amazing. Amazing what you can do with security awareness. There's so many different ways to do it. So many different vendors are offering a lot of different ways. Some are even using humor to get folks interested in it. But it's all based on what's measured. We just don't want another click to come in or someone to ask, low and slow supply chain business email compromise is one of the worst things that can happen. So thank you so much for taking the time. Please look at that security service at techdata.com. Give us a call. We'll be glad to get in touch with you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.